Big news this week in the residency and citizenship world. Peru has just changed their path to citizenship from 2 years to 5 years of residency. And in this video, we're diving deep into this major update from Peru that's making waves in the investment and citizenship by investment communities. Peru has officially changed its path to citizenship through naturalization, extending the residency requirement from 2 to 5 years. This was a bill that was in motion for several months, and it's now official. It's already passed, it's already officially law, and it's now officially 5 years. This is a significant shift, and it's got a lot of people talking, especially those who are eyeing Peru as one of the fastest routes to a second passport in South America. In this video, we're going to break down everything you need to know about this change, why it happened, what the new requirements are, how it might affect your plans, and what options you still have if you're considering Peruvian citizenship or citizenship in Latin America. Stick around because we're making this as valuable and action-packed as possible of a video. So let's start with the big news. MyLatinLife was one of the first people to break this story on Twitter, on X. Around August 15th, things started circulating about Peru's new nationality law. So let's start with the big news. MyLatinLife, I think, was the first English language publication to break this news on Twitter. Obviously, people had been talking about it in the Peruvian press, but you weren't hearing anything about it on X or in kind of sovereign circles or the circles that talk about residency and citizenship. And this new law, it has been officially promulgated on August 16th, 2025, about a week ago, as of the recording and launching of this video. And the residency requirement for naturalization has jumped from 2 to 5 years of continuous legal residency. This has been confirmed from multiple sources, including RPP Noticias and Canal N, and reports of statements from Peruvian officials like Armando Garcia, the superintendent of Migraciones, Peru's immigration authority. According to Garcia, the change here aims to ensure that foreigners seeking citizenship have deeper ties to Peru. Basically, they want people who are truly rooted in the country, not just passing through to get a passport. So why did Peru make this change? Well, a lot of people are pointing to the Venezuelans. Peru has taken in a lot of Venezuelan citizens in recent years, I believe well over 1 million people. And anyone that's been to Peru and gotten an Uber, you've probably noticed this, that your Uber driver might have been Venezuelan. So I think that was one of the big reasons. And the reasoning ties into national priorities. Lawmakers have stated that this reform aligns with constitutional principles, international human rights treaties, and national security considerations. The idea is to make sure applicants are truly committed to Peru's culture, economy, and society. The previous 2-year timeline was one of the shortest in the world, putting Peru in an elite group of countries alongside Argentina and the Dominican Republic that offered 2-year citizenship. Now, with the 5-year requirement, Peru's path to citizenship is more in line with global standards. Portugal is 5 years, and they're even looking at making it 10. So a lot of pretty much every country is in that 5 to 10 year range. There's very few countries that are 2 or even 3 years of residency towards citizenship. So you still have Argentina, which recently made changes as well. And they said 2 years, now it needs to be 2 years of continuous presence in Argentina without leaving the country even once. And we've covered this in other videos, but that's a very high bar, right? Not leaving the country once in 2 years. So that basically means that the Dominican Republic is the only true 2-year citizenship in Latin America and one of the few in the world that remain. And by the way, we have other videos on our channel about the Dominican Republic and Argentina if you're curious about those paths to citizenships in more detail. Or should I say paths to citizenship? So let's break down the new requirements for naturalization. To apply for Peruvian citizenship in 2025, you need to meet the following criteria. First, you need to have 5 years of continuous legal residency in Peru. This means holding a valid residency visa, like a work visa, investor visa, or a rentista visa, and spending at least 183 days per year in the country, roughly 6+ months annually. If you're absent for more than 6 months in a year, or even 3 consecutive months, you risk resetting the clock on your residency period. Second, you need to show financial stability. The new law requires an annual income of at least 10 tax units, which in 2025 equates to about 44,000 Peruvian soles, or roughly $11,500 USD at the current exchange rate. This income must come from lawful taxed activities, and you'll need to provide documentation to prove it. And by the way, this financial stability aspect of things, I think, is also addressing the Venezuelan issue, because a lot of Venezuelans in the country are not making $11,000 a year. They're making significantly less than that. And I remember last time I was in Peru and I was talking to my Uber driver, and I was like, yeah, how long you been in the country? Oh, cool. Are you going to do Peru citizenship? And he said, I literally don't make enough money to apply for citizenship. Now, obviously, there are ways to sort of doctor your income and sort of recycle the income, especially if you have a business to hit that threshold. But, a lot of people aren't thinking that way. Third, you'll need to, in terms of requirements, the third requirement is you'll need to demonstrate proficiency in Spanish or an indigenous language like Quechua or Aymara. There's no formal language test, but you'll be interviewed in Spanish, and immigration officials expect conversational fluency. And this makes sense. After 5 years in Peru, spending the majority of the year there for 5 years, you're expected to know Spanish at that point and to integrate into the community, and language is a big part of that. Now, the fourth requirement, and this isn't new, they've had this even when it was a 2-year path to citizenship, is you will need to pass an evaluation on Peruvian history, geography, and civic education. In the past, these tests weren't overly rigorous, but they have made it more difficult over time. And you're going to need to know key facts about Peru's independence, major historical figures, geographical regions, and current political structure. For example, you might be asked about the significance of July 28th, Peru's Independence Day, or the major rivers in the Amazon basin. Finally, final requirement here is you need a clean criminal record verified through Interpol with no convictions in Peru or elsewhere. Now let's talk about the residency process leading up to citizenship, because you can't apply for naturalization without first becoming a legal resident. Peru's residency system starts with a temporary visa, which you can get through several routes. The most common are the work visa for those employed by a Peruvian company or running their own business, the rentista visa for those with passive income, and the investor visa as well, which requires a minimum investment of 500,000 soles, about $132,000, in a Peruvian country. The rentista visa is popular among retirees and those with passive income, but it doesn't allow local employment. So that's something to consider as well. I think another thing that's interesting about Peru compared to most other countries in Latin America is not every visa type works towards citizenship. So student visas in Peru don't count towards citizenship, and there's a bunch of gotchas and nuances here in terms of the different types of visas and which ones count towards citizenship. And what we've had to do is actually change people's visa type from student visa to working visa and so forth in order to put them on a path to citizenship. Probably worth mentioning at this point that MyLatinLife is an immigration and offshore consultancy. We can help you get residency and citizenship in Peru. If you think you can get Peru citizenship by descent, we can do that. Otherwise, you're looking at this naturalization path of 5 years of residency, and we can help you get residency in Peru. If you don't have the passive income for the rentista visa, that's totally fine. If you don't have a job offer for a work visa in Peru, that's totally fine. We have solutions. If you want to live in Peru, if you want to spend 6+ months in Peru, we are able to get you a residency visa. So to start working together, there's a link in the description where you can book a call with us to get the process started. Now let's talk about the overall citizenship process. So to set expectations from arriving in Peru to getting citizenship, you're looking at about 6 to 7 years now. So it does take a little bit of time to get your residency visa. It's actually rather quick by Latin American standards. Could be a month to a couple months to get the residency and get that submitted, get that approved. Then, of course, the 5 years of residency, of which you're going to spend 1 or 2 years on temporary residency and then renew to permanent residency. Then once you've done 5 years of total residency, you can apply for citizenship, and you're looking at about 12 months of processing for the citizenship application itself. Like we mentioned, you have to do the test in Spanish, and you have to, make an appointment for that test. You have to do the interview. You'll have your swearing in ceremony. You'll get your citizenship certificate. And then after you have your citizenship certificate, then you can apply for the Peruvian passport. One thing that hasn't changed is Peru's stance on dual citizenship. Peru allows dual citizenship, so you do not need to renounce your original nationality to become a Peruvian citizen. This is a big draw for many, especially for people from Canada, the US, Europe, other Latin American countries where dual citizenship is also allowed. So you won't have to renounce US or Canadian or European citizenship to get Peru. Peru's not going to ask you to renounce, and your home country is not going to ask you to renounce either. And that's pretty cool because then you get access to the Peruvian passport and citizenship in addition to your original citizenship. So why would you want Peruvian citizenship? Let's talk about the benefits. A Peruvian passport ranks 34th globally in 2025, according to some indexes, offering visa-free access to 142 countries, which is actually quite good, including the European Union, Russia, and most of South America. This is a major perk for travelers. As a citizen, you're also free from visa renewals or foreigner quotas in employment, and you can work in Peru without restrictions. Plus, Peru is a member in the Andean community and has associate status in the Mercosur, meaning that citizens can live and work in countries like Argentina and Brazil as part of the Mercosur, or Colombia and Ecuador as part of the Andean Agreement. If you're unfamiliar with the Andean community or the Mercosur, we have other videos on our channel explaining these benefits. But there are challenges to consider. The new 5-year requirement makes Peru less competitive for those seeking a quick citizenship. I think if you're looking for a quick citizenship, Dominican Republic has definitely jumped on the list now that Argentina has made it difficult and Peru has made it difficult. The income requirement as well of $11,500 annually might also be a hurdle for some, especially for other Latin Americans and people who are earning income locally or people on a modest pension. And while the language and civics tests aren't overly difficult, they do require preparation. If you're not fluent in Spanish or don't know much about Peruvian history, you will need to study. So I think most people that are going to pursue Peruvian citizenship at this point, maybe it's people, expats that are married to a Peruvian citizen. I could see them still wanting to do this, and people who are genuinely living in Peru for 5+ years. So what about other paths to citizenship? Naturalization isn't the only route. As I alluded to earlier, Peru follows jus soli, meaning anyone born on Peruvian soil is automatically granted citizenship. So if you have a child in Peru, your child will immediately get Peruvian citizenship. Jus sanguinis applies too. If you have a Peruvian parent, you can claim citizenship by descent, even if you were born abroad, which is pretty cool. And the 2018 amendment to the Peruvian Constitution allows those over 18 to register for citizenship by descent, which is great for people with Peruvian ancestry. So maybe you're watching this and you're American or European or whatever, and one of your parents was born in Peru. Well, let's get you Peru citizenship by descent. That's an absolute no-brainer. And if you want to pursue that, again, there's a link in the description where you can book a call with us to get the process started. Now, I know we mentioned foreigners who might be married to Peruvian citizens, and it's worth mentioning that the new law does not shorten the 5-year residency requirement for spouses, unlike the old 2-year rule for married applicants. So basically, there's no accelerated path for people for people who have Peruvian spouses, or maybe people who have Peruvian born children. There's no accelerated paths, which are common in other countries. Another thing to clear up, Peru does not have a direct citizenship by investment program. They actually used to have one briefly in the 1990s, I believe around like 1995, 96, 97. For a couple years, Peru did have citizenship by investment, where you could invest $25,000 for direct CBI, direct citizenship in Peru with no physical presence, but that is long gone. So if you've maybe heard about that in passing, that's why it might ring a bell, but that definitely does not exist anymore. And for those of you already in Peru, the new law doesn't retroactively affect your residency time. If you've been legally a resident for 2 years already, you'll still need 3 more years to apply for citizenship. Check with Migraciones for any transitional rules and keep detailed records of your entries and exits to prove continuous residency. If you're just getting started, we can help you get residency. Again, link in the description to book a call with us if you're ready to get on the path to Peruvian citizenship. So that's the full scoop on Peru's new 5-year citizenship path. It's a longer journey now, but Peru remains a compelling option for its passport strength, dual citizenship policy, and vibrant lifestyle. If you're thinking about Peru or exploring other citizenship options, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more updates on global citizenship and expat life. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.